What's up, everybody? This is Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Well, I don't know what you expected, but Arkansas just lost 48-7 to Alabama in a game that probably could have been a lot worse if Alabama were so inclined. We'll talk about that. I know it's getting old losing games, but bear with us. Not sure what anybody really expected in this one. I mean, I know you expected to lose and for Arkansas not to show up, not to put together a very good game plan, to make mistakes, for Alabama to capitalize on all those mistakes like they always do. I mean, that's the thing with Alabama. That's what makes Alabama a great team instead of just a good team, is because when you make a mistake, they turn it into points. They always make you pay. And that's what happened here. I mean, Arkansas was moving the ball okay against them. I mean, again, nobody's expecting a win or even a close game, but what we do expect is some fight. We expect to see these guys come out and fight, and you're just not getting that. You're not getting it enough. I mean, there might be guys thinking they're fighting, and there might be some players that are, but what I see when I look out there at Arkansas is I see a bunch of players. I don't think I see a team. I don't know if I see a team that's willing to go to war for Chad Morris. That's, I think, what it's come to. I mean, Arkansas is, what are they, 4-16 under Morris now, and they shouldn't be. They've had plenty of opportunities to win. I mean, you can look at other rebuild jobs going on around the country. Kansas, for example, which is in year one. You're going to tell me I know Kansas isn't competing against Alabama, or they're not competing in the SEC, but they've got a better team than Arkansas does already, year one. So just another disappointing performance. I had a hard time figuring out what the headline should be for my opinion store today. I went with, what did I go with? Just another sorry showing from Arkansas football. I started to go with, what did you expect? Just what did you expect? Or I'm running out of headline ideas for losses. So Arkansas, Starkville goes 5-19. You start off the deal with a big mistake, a bad snap, which has been a problem all year. A bad snap, high and right. Rakeem Boyd runs into him. It's a fumble. They return it. So that's how the game starts off. Again, kind of like last week. You had a fumble on the very first drive, different quarterback, and we'll get into who should be quarterback and all that stuff here in a little bit. But Nick Starkville goes 5-19 for 58 yards with 3 interceptions. It's just terrible. It's just that's no good. And John Stephen Jones actually played well, 6-7 for 49 yards and a touchdown. Now, circumstances were a lot different when he went into the game, obviously. But with Ben Hicks not coming back here next year, and I think he might be too injured to play, Nick Starkville obviously just has completely fallen apart, I guess. I don't know what's going on with Nick, but, I mean, he started the season out strong. I don't know if it's gotten into his head or what, but he has just not played very well as of late. Kentucky game wasn't very good, obviously. This game wasn't very good. He's had 3 really bad games so far as a starter. So I think you go with John Stephen Jones, I guess, next week. But it's got to be KJ time pretty quick, fellas. It's got to be KJ time pretty quick. My problem that I have with Arkansas, one of several, they don't feed their studs. And I brought this up a number of times. Rakeem Boyd has 12 carries for 50 yards. It's not like that's offset by some big play that he had and he was just getting stuffed the rest of the game. He was actually running pretty well. He only had 12 carries. Devwall Whaley had 40 yards on 9 carries. They were actually having success running the ball. And I look at the receivers. Rakeem Boyd with 4 catches for 55 yards. He's your leading receiver, okay? So they went to him. I mean, they didn't go to him enough times. I mean, that's 16 times, He caught all 4 targets. C.J. O'Grady was actually targeted 5 times, still needs more targets. Devwall was targeted 6 times, had 2 catches. Now, what you're finding out is I'm leaving out wide receivers because the wide receivers had 1 catch for 15 yards. That was it. 1 catch for 15 yards for Arkansas wide receivers. That was by Traylon Burks, who was targeted 2 times. He also had a rush for 3 yards. Didn't touch the ball enough again. Burks, Trey Knox, Rakeem Boyd, C.J. O'Grady have to touch the ball, and they're not touching the ball enough. What's going on with the game plan to get those guys the ball? I mean, I just don't understand what we're not seeing here with Traylon Burks, that he's a guy that can go out and match up and win battles with Alabama. I know he's young, but you got to figure out ways to get the kid the ball. You do. It's frustrating. I mean, nobody expects them to go out and beat Alabama. Nobody's asking for that. But what they're asking for is a little bit of fight and a good game plan going into the game. And Arkansas just has not been putting those together. You can say 48-7, well, they played okay. They could have beaten them by 70 if they were so inclined. They could have beaten them by 70. I mean, third quarter, midway through, you've got your third quarterback in. Tua Tagovailoa doesn't even play in the game. Never has not having a Heisman Trophy candidate front runner in a game mattered less than it did in this one. Never has it mattered less. So we know how it started. You know, Arkansas had some success, 22-yard play to Rakeem Boyd. Punted after 6 yards. Not a disaster. Alabama went 69 yards in 14 plays. Settled for a field goal. First big mistake came with 4:10 to play in the first quarter at midfield with the Ty Clary snap. I thought, though, that Boyd may have been interfered with on that interception. That might have been interference, and Arkansas didn't get the call. Arkansas did not commit a penalty. They did not commit a penalty in this game. I can't remember when that's happened. Might have happened sometime under Brett Bielema. They were usually pretty lowly penalized, but not a penalty in this game. So, anyway, same as last week, 17-0 to a team against Alabama, to a team from Alabama, 17-0 in the first quarter. Alabama had 2 negative plays in the game. The first one came, when was that? In the 8 minutes left in the third quarter, a 2-yard loss. That was their first one. So the question's got to be quarterback. Who are you going to go with next week? They actually have an opportunity to beat Mississippi State. As crazy as that sounds, it's a home game against a team in Mississippi State that's reeling right now. They're not playing very well, just like Arkansas isn't. I'm not going to pick Arkansas to beat them because I'm sure they'll find some way to screw it up. But they have an opportunity to beat Mississippi State at home, a 3 o'clock game in Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, to finally maybe end the streak. Right now they're 1-7 in games they had a chance to win. They're 1-7. And that one was against Portland State. We talked about that. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but just making mental mistakes, making poor decisions, not feeding the right people the ball. 21 games in. We're going into 21 games next week and still unsettled at quarterback week after week after week. Tough, man. Nobody's expecting them to beat Alabama, but it would have been nice to see a little fight, resiliency. I mean, they had some success. Arkansas's personnel is better. Their personnel is better. They had some success. They make too many mistakes, and Alabama kills you when you do that. How are we doing on people? Oh, we got almost 500 people on here right now. No time in the pocket. Offensive line, obviously, Scott Lennon has been a huge issue. They've had injuries up front. They're relying on a lot of younger players. Just a lot of issues up front on the offensive line. What else we got here? Burks and Knox both need touches. No, Knox doesn't need any touches. He's good. He had no touches. That's fine. It's a fine enough result. Who's actually making the game plans now? Morse is making the game plans. Nikki Scrivener, when you go 3 and out so often, there's only so many touches to go around. That's true, but they were actually having some success. And when you don't go to the right players, you know, when you don't get the ball in the hands of Traylon Burks, when you don't get it to Rakeem Boyd enough, yeah, when you go 3 and out. But they were having some success a lot of the times. It wasn't just because they had 4 turnovers very early in the game. They had 4 turnovers. You know, it wasn't just because they were not moving the ball. They were making poor decisions, making mistakes. One day, Terry Roy says, y'all will know the issues with Arkansas. Let's hear him, Terry. We all want to know. Inquiring minds. I think we know some of the issues going on here. So John Stephen Jones is a starter now. I mean, does it really matter at this point? I mean, it can't be Ben Hicks because he's not going to be with you next year. You have to plan for next season. In my opinion, I wouldn't mind seeing them go all in on KJ. I mean, in a way, John Stevens, sure, you know, he went 6 or 7 passing. Maybe go with him, give him a chance to see what he can do. What's the next steps? Where do you go from here? I have no idea. Kim Clemens says Craddock is the problem. That's not necessarily true. I mean, Craddock may be a problem, but there's a lot of problems with this team. It's not just one guy. You can't just point to somebody and say that's the guy's the problem. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot of problems. There's quarterback issues, not getting the ball to the right people, which goes to game planning. I don't think the players are playing for Chad Morris. I don't know. I don't know if it's gotten to a point where they've just kind of thrown their arms up themselves. And they can, you know, you can think that you're playing hard and think you're giving it all you got, but a lot of times it's just mental, man. You can't get past something. And at the same time, I mean, there are certain things that compound everything. The offensive line struggling, not getting good quarterback play. You know, all of those things, you know, work together. You really have to have 11 people all working together. I mean, they've struggled on the offensive line. Wes Brown says they're not beating anyone. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you, Wes. I'm not picking them to win any games. Mizzou lost again. KJ should just finish out the season. You're probably right, Jeremy Brigham. John Stephen Jones to start at quarterback, ! Says Dwight Raleigh. So, a lot of disappointing things out of this one. And don't really know where Arkansas goes from here. If anybody's got an answer, I'd love to hear it. But I don't feel like this rebuild is going well. I mean, that's the understatement of the year, isn't it? It's the understatement of the year. At least I can laugh now some. I mean, early in the year, it's just, you know, it's just depressing when you think that they should be better, when you feel like, you know, they've done the right things in the offseason in terms of bringing in more playmakers. They've got some playmakers on this team. Obviously, the offensive line has been a struggle, but, you know, for the defense, they've stayed pretty healthy. I don't think that the personnel is so much an issue on the defensive side of the ball. I just think they've struggled. And I think, you know, when your offense is struggling the way they are and you do step up and play well on defense, it makes you just kind of go, well, what are we doing? What are we doing? John Stephen Jones is about the only bright spot today, and I'm not sure how much of that was John Stephen Jones and how much it was Alabama just, you know, kind of putting all their backups and stuff in. So anyway, everybody, I don't know if there's much else to say about this one, but I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. I mean, we have 500 people on here right now. I mean, if that doesn't say Arkansas fans aren't hungry and aren't paying attention, I mean, we can say, you know, attendance was down for the last game, one of the worst attended games in Fayetteville since the expansion in 2001. But, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. I know what the numbers are on my website. People are still involved. They may not be going to the games. They may not be showing it in certain ways, but people are still reading. They're interested. They want to know what's going on. They want answers. And right now, there doesn't seem to be any. And I don't know if we look at next year and say, okay, well, this is going to be a big turnaround for them next year. I mean, the schedule is beautiful. First of all, the schedule's beautiful next year if you got a good team to play it. I mean, you go at Notre Dame, you get Alabama at home, LSU at home, Tennessee at home, Ole Miss at home. You get to play at Arrowhead Stadium in the Missouri game. I mean, and of course, you know, Arlington. That's a beautiful schedule for next year. But, man, if you don't have the team to play it, it's just going to be brutal. It's kind of like 2017. I mean, that was a nice-looking schedule. But you didn't have the team to play it. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, I guess. I want to say I appreciate everybody. I keep saying I want to appreciate. I appreciate everybody for joining us, and continue reading on HawgSports.com. Again, there's plenty of ways to watch and listen. You can go to, or we're always streaming on Facebook Live, of course, also upload on YouTube. And if you haven't thrown us a thumbs up, then go ahead and do so now. Throw us a thumbs up if you like the content. And on Apple Podcasts, if you're listening, throw us a 5-star review. We want people to see HawgSports Live when people search Arkansas Razorbacks on Apple Podcasts. Also available on Spotify and Stitcher. If you haven't shared the video with somebody you think they might like it, then go ahead and share the video. And again, throw us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and hit the notifications bell. 75% of the people who watch the videos actually aren't even subscribed to the channel. So subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell so you're notified every time we upload a video on Facebook Live, on Facebook. Be sure to follow the page. That's what we ask. Follow the page. Interact with the content. Okay, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, and we'll see you on Monday.